So hello, how you doing everybody? So I don't know, but I have a little birdie that's lingering around, right? I don't know if this birdie is good or bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and figure this out, and maybe somebody will help me figure it out. So yeah, my channel is all about, it's called Resilient Reaper Tarot. So I feel like there's many ways to use tarot exactly like the way that I'm doing it now. Now, far as my algorithm and my views and all of that kind of stuff like that, recently I was holding a conversation among some people, right? And some people are new people who didn't open up their channels. So, they was telling me about how they go through some of the similar things I went through and how they got in contact with YouTube. So, YouTube told them due to the pandemic, they've been having a higher volume. So technically, the algorithm, they say, is off track. What do I mean by that? I mean, they told that person that their views is probably higher than what it is. It's just not reflecting. To get their video to navigate out, it might seem like it's not, but it is stuck in traffic because the volume mass, they haven't, since they've been established, this has been the pandemic has caused them the highest peak of uploads that they have experienced. So I don't think it's right now, and they giving out that advice, I don't think it's wise for me to open up another channel, because I'm going to still go through the same thing with my algorithms, whether I open up another channel or not. So I just wanted to get that little spill out because, I just did an astrology video on the 7-day forecast, and I like doing this stuff. Like I say, my videos is for advertising and helping. It has a double edge. Yes, I'm advertising myself. So if you like natal chart readings, okay, well, I'm going to switch a format for a minute on the intuitive side that also comes with my services. Alright? Not just tarot. It's just the fact, if you hold conversation the appropriate way, then you get the right responses. I'm not here to tell nobody how to talk. I'm just here to respond in my service and try to be as respectful as you are to me. Okay? So what I'm coming up here and doing is incorporating, once again, the planet transits to do the weekly situation reading. So, my situation readings is all about relationships. So, I'm going to make sure, I think this episode right here should definitely bring about clarity for any confusion. And of course, far and foremost, I'm not talking to myself, but I might be talking at myself to produce a video. And if anybody view it, then you listening to the progress of my interpretation. It only comes, I think, talking to the viewer if the message resonates. Because, you look at a regular TV show, are they talking to you? Are you watching? You're looking at a music video, are they talking to you? Are you watching? So I'm going to pull some of the energy for the situation reading for this week from the transit. I'm going to astroseek.com if you want to inquire about it. I figure out how I'm going to put the transits up there. It won't remain up there the whole entire time, but I will put the transit view that I'm looking at if you're trying to inquire. Alright? I will apply that information there if you're trying to figure out where my intuition is coming from. Now, the beautiful part about this reading, hey, I got my style. If you watch other styles, so my messages resonate. Well, at least the collective aspect of it all is something in there is true. What part is true? I don't know. I'm not the one in those shoes. Okay? So, thank you for all who stopped past. And then finally had the little birdie go fly away. It feels good. Yes, I love those moments. So, I still don't know whether it was a good or bad thing, but at least it was a messenger. So, let's go ahead and talk about it. So, this situationship, I'm going to begin with today's date, the 11th, right, on Astro Seek, and what it's talking about when it comes to Mars and Venus, right? But first, before I get into that part, well, I'm going to get into that part. Let me get into it from, I'm going to wing myself into it through the zodiac, okay? Meaning, Venus is zodiac position, or the zodiac position that's connected to Venus, which one is the appropriate way to say it, is Gemini. Now, the zodiac that is connected in position with Mars is Cancer. So right now we're talking about Gemini in a relationship for this time period. We're gonna be starting the week off with how effective is the logic in the relationship. And this logic could come from different areas, meaning that are you a victim type mentality? How deep is your victim mentality? Because everybody plays victim. For example, men, she don't do this, she don't do that. Women, he don't do this, he ain't doing that. That's beginning the victim mentality. Now, the sensitivity of it is really on you, but the real talk is what I offer up here on this station, is real talk conversation. So, we could definitely tweet and mean real talk, so I really do feel like everybody could understand real talk. So, and that's like missing in with Cancer, meaning that that victim mentality is not even always something that's thought of as much as it's felt. Okay? You could feel it, but because you need to communicate and express what you're going through, it comes out in a conversation, which is also being a Gemini, the thinking and the speaking, right? So, and you got this Cancer that's there. Now, it's not all about so much of Cancer being emotion, because on the thinking aspect, Cancer can inflate it. It can exacerbate it. It can escalate it. It can expand it. It can transform it through your visibility in your consciousness, your daydreaming situation, or whether it's dreams, or whether it's looking at a movie, or having a conversation, somebody gave you an idea to try in a relationship. If it's just searching on social media and getting influence on the relationship type things, of the single viral things, of the relationship miscellaneous things. What is it? All of those is influences, okay? And they are what? Are they bad or good? I don't think they none of them, because we do them. I mean, you get to judge it for yourself, but you're going to judge and justify it off. It becomes a rule, and it becomes a more, it becomes a virtue, especially with Gemini being there. Okay. The thing with Cancer being there is really, are you able to really see that it came a virtue, a characteristic, or even any kind of attachment, as much as you might could speak it maybe through your likes and dislikes, okay? So, I take, with Mars and Venus because this is a popular thing in defining men and women. So I really do feel like their energy is very important to do a situationship. Now, it's not like you can't have good communication at the same time, Very much can. But let's get into it from the aspects, right? Let's see what's occupying Venus right now. So what's occupying Venus is the fact Venus has Pluto and Jupiter. So let me get those two cards out. We got Jupiter and we have Pluto right here. That's on the side of Venus. Now for Mars, we have Saturn, and Uranus on the side of Mars. So we definitely in, let's see, interesting. Very interesting. Because we got Mars sextile Uranus at 0 degrees 16 seconds. Right? Now that's sextiling. Now we have Venus square with Jupiter at 3 degrees 23 seconds. So we got an 8, we got a 16, and that's, both of those could be inside each other, right? So then we got Venus trine with Pluto at 6 degrees 21 seconds. So now we done got a 9. And then we have Saturn in conjunct with Mars at 2 degrees 22 seconds. So then we got the 6 and we got the chord number of 3 and we got a chord number of 4. So we got a 7. Right? So let's talk about it for numerology at 7. Is this really making Venus more stronger because it has Gemini beside it? But then at the same time, Mars had Cancer, and if we go into the calendar format of it, Cancer comes after Gemini. So Mars is known to be the force, while Venus is known to be the love. And we got a 7. So the 7 is saying when it comes to a lot of situations, what are you in love with? Who you in love with? And the tricky part is the fact that it's Gemini and Cancer. Because when I ask you who you're in love with, when you come out and you answer it for real, me personally, I look at you. There's nothing more to say because your flesh didn't jumped out. So one part about your flesh is jumping out. You definitely getting some type of pleasure in a relationship. Even if you have any type of disagreement going on, there's a pleasure in the root of it all. Because your flesh jumped out quicker. Because if your spirit jump out quicker, it doesn't know unless the subconscious take over the conscious and allow the conscious to know that truth. You would never know who you with. You would know them enough to be comfortable, but if you believe in you starting off at 20 years old, can anybody remember, or if you're around that age now, are you looking at any relationship about you want somebody to mature, you want somebody to grow, you want them to be more motivated? So if you have any of this language that has came out in a relationship period, that means that you are acknowledging this person is growing in a fashion that you do not understand. But it's still not stopping you from loving them and wanting to be with them, because you convince yourself it's unconditional love. What Cancer will be supporting in Gemini with the double-edged swords? And it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's a thing that comes in the book of life, the book of relationships, the book of knowledge. That's what it is. It's a chapter in the book of knowledge. So, the 7 on the numerology aspect of it is really all about the book of knowledge. We're going to go ahead and give it that, right? So now, let's get over to me remembering Venus. Let's talk about Venus for a minute. Venus row. So we got Venus square with Jupiter. So, have anybody been seeing 144? That's what when I first came up here, I called the universal code of love. Okay? So, have you been seeing it? Because it's a good thing, because in abundance, 144 was limited, but it still contained abundance, because it was 144,000. That's still an abundance. Now, in the application of it being abundance, it's the amount of people that's in one room. What size of the room it is, nobody never talked about. Because I don't know the size of heaven, and I don't know the size of hell. I don't even know the size of space. And I don't even think there's anybody on the planet that knows the size of space. Especially if it takes a lot of light years to get to a planet. Which is a conversion that's different from life years. Light and life is a conversion chart. You got to convert it over to get it. So I don't know that as space. So if you really got a space, then maybe abundance and what I'm using is not working out. But for me, I can't tell you how big this space is. I can't even tell you how big the earth is. I can Google it, but I can't tell you without somebody else telling me. So, being that it's square, right? And then we got Pluto that's there, that is trining. Venus and Pluto was trining together, right? So, what are some of the elements that I'm not talking about? The zodiacs that's also attached to these planets. Now, I talked about Mars and Venus, but I'm not talking about those zodiacs. So, this is the alchemy of it all, and bringing the intuitive part. Can, shape, and shift. Okay? But with Venus having a trine and a square, it's some entertainment. Is which entertainment is the right one? Is more or less Venus is in the position of definitely regulating the network system. Let's come up with these ideas for a new drama. Let's come up with these ideas for a new Marvel comic. Let's come up with these ideas for a superhero. Let's come up with another idea of what it is to be a man or a woman. Let's come up with these ideas. So in a relationship, if they producing all these ideas at this point in time, then it's affecting your relationship on whether you're bored with it, whether you could see that person's faults. Because it's like if anybody could go look at a neuron model, right? And like, you know, you probably really can't see it that well up here, so I ain't gonna do it. But you got the dendrites, right, which is a message signal, right? Then you got the axons, which is a signal transfer. Then you got terminal buttons, which is the chemical receive. And we talking about it all being insulated, and it have a cell body, and it have a nucleus. So, you know, in the transmission of it, it helped me with it to describe the energy and give you the ability to resonate, comes from those functions that we have inside. And they call signals. Dendrites, signal. Terminal button, a receptor. And that's what what is going on now. So you receiving it. Is the universe telling you that you got to make a decision? No. You feeling the energy. Is it making you want to make a decision? Probably so. Why? Because they making decisions. As above, so below. But it's not about the force. Because Mars is occupied with Uranus and Saturn. Okay? So just, you know, the love part of it is people don't want to be bored. They're not encouraged to be bored. You are encouraged to be a productive citizen out here in the world. You are encouraged to socialize. You are encouraged to be a family member. So the encouragement of actually having a social environment is very strong. So it's not really outrageous type of mistreatment. It's a personal desire and it's a personal pleasure, and it makes up the makeup of life and humanity in itself in a nutshell. So also, you know, I'm just not a dramatic person. I don't try to over exaggerate anything. I can be bossy, but in this profession it's not about being bossy, because I don't want to contradict the illusion of free will. When you ask me to do services for you, I'm not violating your free will. Because you're allowing that to happen. So it's not no violation either. Because at the same time, what are you believing that I'm saying? That's different from what you could sit in a regular classroom and learn. That's why I brought up the neuron model and the receptors. I'm just describing something different, or I'm using a different type of textbook. So that energy right there that I'm actually putting out at this present time, right? So this energy that I'm actually putting out at this present time is the combination of Venus and Mars. But I'm putting my situation in the point of explaining myself. So I'm being perfectly an example. What do I mean? Abundance. How broad do you got to be in abundance? My conversation is broad. Pluto, transformation. I'm transforming myself and getting a little bit off track with the energy. But at the same time, I'm talking about real facts through Uranus. And I'm experiencing my truth with Saturn. And I haven't even got over there. So it's just the energy being here, and I'm putting it out as an example. And I'm just showing you my consciousness on it. Or rather, the consciousness that when I say your subconscious, allow you to recognize. Because maybe if I would have recognized it before, I might not have would have drifted off so far. So it allowed my conscious mind to recognize this example. So yeah, because what I was really going to is the fact that, okay, it's relationships. There's a lot of different shifting and changing in relationships right now. There's a whole generation who just don't want to argue or fuss and create peace. So if it's going to make somebody happy and I got to find my happiness, let's do polyamorous. And it's not just about the person they with. It's also when it comes to their family member. And they finding themselves in their grounds. Like, yo, I don't want to be going through a divorce. I don't want to be miserable. They're changing generations. And if you go look at my video that I did yesterday on the 7-day forecast, I surely brought about the fact that it's a generational thing that's coming. And it's part of it. Why stop them? There's nothing wrong with a lot of them. Having many wives, having many husbands. It was once upon a time, legal. And the more that it came by my studies and my personal belief, the more that it came wrong, the more unhappy people became. The more that unconditional love actually became fading away. And it brought it all the way down to the twin flames of the proof. So it's not like twin flames didn't have a purpose. It was to prove the desperation of finding this thing called love. Unconditional love. And we look for it so much because of the bad that's in the world. And even though we know that if it weren't for the bad, we can't say good, it really is that double-edged sword that leaves us in a bittersweet place of accepting good and bad. And not realizing right there in the foundation of it is unconditional love. But being free from the misery in the acceptance is the real battle. It's not the language of really knowing it. It's the emotions of freedom that you try to escape from, to embrace it, to know that you achieve it. But once again, what's the contradiction that's here? What's this in conjunction that's coming around right here that is inside of Mars? How long is life? And what really is supposed to happen in this longevity? Where is your manuscript? I'm not talking about the goals or the book you done wrote since you've been living. No, I'm talking about where is your manuscript, which normally people was using as Oshkosh records. Akasha records. Your destiny, who you are. Where do you want to go? Why do I cry? Why do I feel this way? Why did this happen? Why am I experiencing this pain? The thing that helped you ask all the questions was bringing me to Mars in conjunction with Saturn. The thing that's still slowing everything down. And then there's what Uranus. Is both of those planets tilted? Is it just Uranus tilted? But both of them got rings around? Is that how we work our windmill system? It's the same way that their rings spin around them at a specific angle and transition? They have control over the flow of things? What about the story about Uranus and Saturn being father and son? So in these relationships, it's this bond. Who's coming around? What is the name for it? Like, I like comics. I understand the majority of this tarot land community love to talk shit about the comic. I'm not there for that. And my personal reason on it is for real. Learning how to love yourself sometimes can be from your comic. See, even though the situation might be bad, once again, it's like I said, even Jesus even proved that. It takes for the worst to happen in order for the good to rise up. So I'm not trying to knock my blessings all the time because I don't want to deal with this pressure. This person could literally be around because that's what I was one period of time, and just because I can't remember it and I don't like it now, and maybe I don't like it now because I'm so busy worried about keeping a promise that I don't have a manuscript from my last lifeline of existence of what I did wrong. So I'm trying to avoid it and not like I need to stay so focused in the now and understanding that how do I pass the course? How do I stay in a profession for 20 years without ever updating or upgrading myself about business alone? You have to upgrade yourself to be a successful business person. You have to be able to be adjustable and flexible in the market to make your business withstand. Even if it's just all about you redecorating to make it more appeasing to the community and not switching your product or service. It's always an upgrade. Even if it's about the laws that come out and give you business taxes. It's always an upgrade. If it's all about leaving a legacy to another family member, it's always some type of upgrade. So I'm not that person. I see things my way. And the only way I can help my people that come my way is by being myself. I don't have to go with every trend, and I'm part of the trend. I just don't have to do everything everybody do. And maybe right there, that's coming from the in conjunction in Saturn. That gives me the strength and courage to stand my ground. Or maybe it's the sextile. That's in Uranus. That's giving me this wisdom and the opportunity to love myself. And then when I find myself in these situations of temptation, since this is a situationship reading, what's wrong? Why you afraid this time? Maybe it's, maybe it's there to give me that pep talk conversation. And this is an example of the what is misunderstood or not said or not told for you to do. Tell you how to hide out. Tell you to run away. It's not about that. It's about this energy. It's about that curiosity, and it's about me being me as an energy reader. So, you know, in examples through the way I have been communicating and translating the message, if nobody could recognize, it's not just about loving yourself. It's not about just accepting your neighbor for who they are. It's about an experience on why do those values even exist. When you adapt to a trend, what is making you adapt to the trend? Is it a fear of loneliness? Is it potentially the fact that you really don't know? And because you really don't know and somebody asking you the question, it's really making you feel funny to not be able to tell them that you don't know. And maybe if they told you that it was all about this energy, it's not something that you care about. So it's not going to help you know anything more because you don't care. But at the same time, it's not going to stop the awkward feeling of the truth of you really don't know. Unless you do have something to believe in. And you can honestly say, like, I don't know about the energy, but I know it's something out there. And maybe it is affecting the way I look at things. But at the same time, I don't see no reason to change it. I like the way I see it. Even though I can't answer that question. That's a terrible truth to stand in. But it's still love. It's a loving respect. It's a loving way to place a boundary there. It's a loving way for the universe to give you the eyes to see how somebody's going to take advantage of you. It's definitely an opportunity to help you grow stronger and get you prepared for anything in the future. It's definitely something that will never be forgotten, but never be the center of your focus to answer. Because it did turn to strength, to courage, to confidence, without you knowing. So in the alchemy of it all, because we already got two alchemists. We got Gemini and Cancer that I already talked about. So we already got two. And since we already got two, I'm going to make this into a part 2. Alright? So stay tuned and make sure that you go look at part 2 to this. Because we're going to still get deeper. We're just going to go all the way to May 19th. It's free. If you like this one, go check that out. Alright?